Good morning, kites and kestrels, and welcome to today's talk for writing session. So it should be no surprise to you that today's learning objective is to draft a poem, because this is following on from yesterday's lesson where you planned your poem, hopefully. So our task, okay, is going to be to draft a poem about an imagined dream in which the elephant speaks to you. So this is going to be recapping some of the things I was thinking about yesterday, some of the things hopefully you were as you were planning your poems. So we said about yesterday, what types of things might the elephant say to you if they were to visit you in a dream? So we spoke about some of the negative things like the habitat destruction that's happening, the illegal ivory trade, but also some of the positives, like elephants snorkeling in the water and using the tanks, or eating for 16 hours a day. So hopefully you have found a path to go down, and it's up to you. You could have chosen a bit of both in yours, and that's absolutely fine. And obviously what I'm going to do now is going to recap my plan from yesterday and then go step by step into how I would write my poem using my plan. So remember our model text. And what I did was I had my model text and I thought, right, okay, what happened in each verse and how can I use my ideas in my Innovate version to make it make sense. So the model text was A Dream of Elephants by Tony Mitten. So we know with this it was verse by verse and then thinking about, actually, I don't want to call my poem A Dream of Elephants. My poem is going to be called My Dream of Elephants, and this is where they're going to speak to me. So you can see there my plan, and there for my verses 4 and 5. So actually, I'm ready to start writing. I've got a copy of my plan in front of me as I write, just like you should have your plan from yesterday to support you. So, first of all, I'm going to need a title for my poem. So as I have already said, my title is going to be My Dream of Elephants, and yours could be the same, or you might have chosen something different. So My Dream of Elephants, and as it's my title, I'm going to make sure that my capital letters are in there, and that I've also underlined it neatly. If you would like to really be a good author and a good poet, then you might also want to write who your poem is written by. So I could write underneath it, or next to it, written by Miss Bailey, and you could write yours. So I'm going to be looking at my plan for verse 1. So I said about my verse, they spoke to me, they used wise words, there was emotion involved, it was sad, I was upset, and it made me cry. And I thought about my rhyming pair, which was why and cry. So I want to magnify some ideas from the original poem here. I want to start in exactly the same way because I'm still writing about a dream. So I might start with, I dreamed a dream of elephants. I cannot tell you why. But obviously I don't want to keep magnifying ideas because otherwise I wouldn't have written my own. So I'm going to just magnify those first 2 lines of that first verse. But in my dream, I saw the herd go slowly walking by was the original. But I actually said that in my dream, they spoke to me. And that's what I want to say. But in my dream, they spoke to me. And I've said in my plan, wise words, and made me cry. So I could say, but in my dream, they spoke to me, wise words that made me cry. I'm going to bear in mind that my first verse is going to become my final verse as well. So in my plan, obviously went down the poacher's route and sort of the negative way in which elephants are treated. So I wanted to say about poachers and how they're hunted for their tusks, elephants, and how they might want to hide away from this threat. And then I thought about if they're hunted for their tusks, what words rhyme with tusks? And I wanted to go with the word dusk, which I said meant sunset. So they spoke about the poachers, because remember, they is talking about the elephants that are speaking to me in my dream. So they spoke about the poachers, and the poachers are the people who go to kill elephants sometimes and take their tusks away from them as part of the ivory trade, okay, which is illegal. So they spoke about the poachers that hunt them for their tusks. And they told me that they hide away until it's safe at dusk. So again, here I have got my rhyming pair that I discussed, tusks and dusk, and I'm speaking particularly about it, making sure that my writing makes sense. I'm talking about the elephants are speaking to me about poachers, that they hunt them for their tusks. And because I'm saying that in my dream elephants speaking to me, I said they told me that they hide away, so obviously they want to be safe, until it is safe at dusk. And remember, I've got my apostrophe in the word it, because it's actually short for it is safe. Okay, so it is short for it is. So, that is my second verse of my poem. In my third verse, the original verse was, and as I watched the steady herd walk slowly, sadly by, until I stood amazed alone beneath a silent sky. So in this verse, I want to talk about how I'm listening carefully to what's being spoken to me in my dream. Again, I want to talk about the emotion and how it's making me feel. But remember, I said I didn't want to repeat that because I'm upset and sad that it made me cry. Maybe I want to talk about how that I might have reacted differently, and I actually said that maybe I want to shed a tear. And then I would have my rhyming pair of tear and fear. So let me try and draft that into a verse. And as I listened carefully, I shed a little tear. For who should have to live a life in agony and fear? So there I have my rhyming pair of tear and fear. And I've listened carefully because elephants are speaking to me. And I want to think about, actually, if I was rhyming the word fear, agony means pain. So it's agony and fear. And actually, these elephants wouldn't be living their life in agony and fear if they were scared that they were going to be hunted by poachers. And as that's a question, I have added a question mark into my poem. So therefore, I'm using a range of punctuation. Maybe if you use a rhetorical question in your poem, then you could also be using a range of punctuation. So on to verse 4. So the original was, I watched them as they moved away, I watched as they walked on. They merged into the heat and dust till all of them were gone. So I would like to magnify that first idea of I watched them as they moved away and gazed at them in awe, because that was on my plan. And if I gaze at something, it's almost like staring at them. But rather than staring because in shock or horror, then actually I'm just staring and gazing at them in awe. And that means in fascination. These creatures are so beautiful and fascinating that I am purely amazed at them. So they are so awesome that I'm just gazing at them. So they come to talk to me these wise words. We've had a conversation. They've filled me in on how they're treated. And actually, I'm thinking about, and as they walk away, I'm watching them in awe and thinking, actually, this is a horrible thing that's happening to them, and it is such a shame that these creatures might not be with us anymore. And there I have another rhyming pair of awe and anymore. So that verse is, I watched them as they moved away and gazed at them in awe. It's such a shame these creatures might not be with us anymore. And then obviously we've got 5 verses in total, and to keep with my original text and our model text of The Dream of Elephants by Tony Mitten, I am going to magpie and copy my first verse into my 5th verse. So there is my 5th verse. I dreamed a dream of elephants, I cannot tell you why, but in my dream they spoke to me wise words that made me cry. And then I have really taken all of the ideas from my planning sheet and put them into full sentences. So now I'm going to read through my poem from the start. My dream of elephants. I dreamed a dream of elephants. I cannot tell you why, but in my dream they spoke to me wise words that made me cry. They spoke about the poachers that hunt them for their tusks. They told me that they hide away until it is safe at dusk. And as I listened carefully, I shed a little tear. For who should have to live a life in agony and fear? I watched them as they moved away and gazed at them in awe. It's such a shame these creatures might not be with us anymore. I dreamed a dream of elephants, I cannot tell you why, but in my dream they spoke to me wise words that made me cry. So once you've finished writing your poem, it might be worth going back through and seeing if there's anything that you could edit and improve. Maybe your capital letters, your spellings, your punctuation, wider punctuation, like say if you've actually included a question, have you got your question mark? So we can edit and improve. But then once you've written it, it'd be really lovely, Miss Martin and I were thinking, if you could then illustrate your poem with a picture. So here is a picture of an elephant that has been drawn. So maybe you could do that. And on the next slide here, I have included. So if you would like to illustrate your poem with a drawing of an elephant, you may wish to use this below, which is also on your daily timetable, and it talks you through nice and slowly instructions on how to draw an elephant like that. You might already be superb drawers and artists and know exactly how to draw it, but I needed some support because of the different dimensions and the different angles, and I thought this was a nice, simple way of illustrating my poem. So what you can do is you can draft out your poem today, please, and then what we would like you to do after that is illustrate it with a picture of an elephant. You can then colour that in, make sure you've checked and edited it. Maybe you could even perform your poem and send us a video of you reading it out. But I know Miss Martin and I are really looking forward to seeing your poem, so make sure you send it through to us before half term so that we can have a good look at it. We can't wait because we just want to keep putting lots and lots of your work in the newsletters and on our class celebration pages so that we can really show off the remote learning that you have been doing. We are super proud of you, so keep up the hard work today before we enter half term. Then you've got a week off, and I can't wait to see you for our next bit of thoughtful writing after half term. We'll see you then.